Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Friday's show, our topic's going to be high school football games this weekend. So you'll get the show Monday morning, afternoon on Friday, and we'll talk about teams that are playing. You know, some are even on Thursday nights. And prayers to all those teams that aren't playing yet. I mean, we're going to go through some and not all of them, but it's really, this hurricane has really affected a lot of families in the state. And it's not just, not just Houma, not just New Orleans. It's affected Baton Rouge, Lafayette, everything south. It's affected a lot of the schools, the ability to, for kids and parents to have power and air in their homes. And if you don't have air in your homes, you probably can't go to school if you don't have air at school. Meaning you can't practice, meaning you can't have a game. And it's just really a lot of things going on right now with a lot of families. Prayers to everyone. We're going to talk about who is playing this week, and we'll talk about college football too. Jace LeJeune joins us again. Thank you, Jace.
Thanks for having me again, Lee.
Yeah,
always
man.
A pleasure.
It's going to be interesting. You're going to be doing the play-by-play tonight for Episcopal.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah,
tonight.
Well, you just blew our tape deal, man. All right, so we're taping on Thursday, but from here on out,
Sure.
But anyway, you're going to be doing play-by-play for Episcopal.
Yep.
And we'll start with that. They play East Feliciana at East Feliciana.
Yeah, Episcopal plays East Feliciana at East Feliciana, 7 o'clock tonight. So it should be a good one. They're supposed to play later in the season since it's a district matchup, but they're going to play first game of the season, and it'll be interesting to see what both teams, really young, both teams, to see what they can do. East Feliciana, they like their depth right now. They're getting more players coming out. I think they have 50 players right now. And Episcopal, they had a great season last year, winning 8 games, went undefeated in the regular season, and almost beat Lafayette Christian last year. But this is a brand-new team for Episcopal, so love to see what they look like. I know this is week 2, but technically week 1.
Yeah. Cedric Anderson did such a great job at East Feliciana, and he's no longer there, but his 2 sons were there. They did great. Obviously Kendall Beckwith was there.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of great players that played at Southern all over the state. East Feliciana's had some studs.
They're
always going to have studs. They're always going to have some big kids. And Travis Bourgeois has done a phenomenal job at Episcopal. It seems like going on 50 years.
Yeah.
Travis has been there for a long time. I know it's over 20 years.
Yeah, he joked with me saying that I was calling him old by saying he's been there pretty much as long as I've been alive. But, yeah, that's been pretty much the case. But, yeah, talking to Coach Matthews, it is good. Cedric Anderson's still at the school. So he's still giving advice, and he's still part of the program. So it was really good to see him still involved with East Feliciana.
Yeah, and they're always a tough team to beat because of their speed. Even if they're young, they're going to be fast. They got a lot of fast kids.
Oh, it's going to be a good matchup. They're athletes, and Episcopal's always going to be well-disciplined, well-coached, so it's going to be a really good football game on tonight. So I'm really excited about seeing it.
Yeah, and it'll be your first game with the Knights.
Yep.
And
Voice of the Knights. I'm excited about it.
And then we'll go ahead and continue on. I'm actually talking about football games, Thursday night game. I can't pull this off because the game wasn't played yet.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. Yep.
But you're hearing this on Friday. But I'm going to my Thursday game, which will be Scotlandville, East Ascension. And I can't talk about it yet because it didn't happen yet, even though you're catching the show on Friday. But it's going to be two giants of teams. I mean, tons of talent, 2 big teams. Scotlandville's got Chance Williams, running back, who's really good, senior. They got Marlon Gunn, who's one of the best in the state.
Oh, boy, he is a beast.
He's up there to go SEC. He's the next Brandon Bolden from the school. Jeremiah Bell, Baker transfers, really good player. Marlon Thomas, a really good receiver. Damian Knighton, who came over from Baker.
Yep.
Aaron Reed. Malcolm Richard's a big tackle, 6'4", 315. They got some juniors, too. Zay Tessett is a great quarterback. Braylon Wright came over from Port Allen. Todd Wright, Jeremiah Jackson, Mikey Smith, Hamza Rayman, really big lineman, 6'5", about 300, 290. John Hubbard, a receiver. Josh Lee, Jamal Franklin, who's a transfer from Port Allen, 6'7", 370.
Ooh.
And then East Ascension counters with their big guys. They got Javion Richardson, who's 6'6", 285.
Yeah, they always got big guys.
Nico Williams is 6'6", 280. Jaquel Mack is a 6'2", 220 receiver, running back, linebacker, wherever they want him. Riante Jones is the biggest linebacker in the state, outside of Oak Grove's linebacker.
Yeah.
But Riante Jones, Riante's 5'10 and a half, 260.
Yeah, about to say he's around 260. Yeah.
Runs a 4.79 40.
Wow.
So he's put together. He's not just big.
Yeah.
And then they got Alex Lambert, a really good deep snapper, LeJaden Jackson. Their junior group, Brennan Thompson's talent, Diego Antavarius, their kicker. Walter Samuel, I need to check. One of the running backs is not back. I don't know if it's Samuel or Kendall Washington. I think one of those are out for this game of the year. And then Anton Foster's a really good player back. Joshua Burfict. And Kelvin Gray, a big lineman. So, they've got a lot of talent, these two teams. I'll report on it, and we'll have some taped interviews for next week from Scotlandville, from Moreland Gunn, who to me is a top 20 player in the state, top 10 maybe. Chance Williams, who could be a top 40 player in the end. East Ascension, those two big linemen we mentioned, Javion Richardson and Nico Williams, could slot in that top 40, 50 in the state.
Seems like they got great linemen every single year at East Ascension.
It all started with Glenn Dorsey.
Oh, yep.
And Sean Nelson, who played in the NFL. They were big guys, but yeah, they're just huge. You look at Cameron Wire at LSU. Where's he from?
East Ascension.
East Ascension.
Yep, right.
So you got a big time tackle.
You got a defensive end playing at Louisiana Tech right now. Trey Hall.
Yeah, Hall is a big time player.
Yeah, he was good, and he's starting for Louisiana Tech right now.
Ely was at Oklahoma from East Ascension, 6'5", 330. He's in NFL now.
Right.
Ely.
Yep, he is. He
started
is.
at U High.
Yep. Right.
Offensive
lineman.
There's not that many teams in Baton Rouge to have 7, 8 O-linemen over 6'5", over 300 come out in the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like this is every year at East Ascension.
And one went to Central Florida. They had one at Grambling.
Yeah.
They went to Central Florida, who's 6'7", 6'8", about 320.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, So, anyway.
I don't know what they're feeding them down there in Gonzales.
Yeah. Tonight I'm going to Evangel Christian of Shreveport against Dutchtown. I'm going to go check the Evangel out. They're young, but they played everybody last year, so it's going to be curious to see how good they are now that all these ninth graders played in 2020.
Yeah, we'll see what they do after. I know last year, you look at Evangel Christian's history, and last year of them not winning a game, that's not going to happen this year. They're going to, them being older and them being more experienced, and having a guy like Coach Duran leading the way, they should be in position for a bounce back year.
Well, Dylan Sampson needs to get healthy. I know he's a little nicked up.
Yeah, he is right
Dutchtown.
now. Mm-hmm.
He is the team at Dutchtown. So it's going to be interesting to see how much he plays, if he plays at all, against Evangel. If he doesn't, Evangel has a chance to win this game, I think.
That would be huge if they can somehow knock off Dutchtown, because they've been pretty good over the last couple of years. And I know it's really big to have Dylan Sampson out, because he is pretty much Dutchtown's offense. That's what it pretty much all evolves around. So we'll see what happens.
He would be a lot of people's offenses. He's special, committed to Tennessee.
Volunteers are getting themselves a good one.
If he goes there in the end, if that's what happens.
Right.
And then Evangel Christian's got a great offense. The quarterback and receiver are Josh Booty's sons.
Yeah, about to say I have a connection to Josh Booty there.
Yeah, I've known Josh since he was 18. Now Josh is in his, he's probably 44 now, 45, something like that. That's going to be a good game. And then, we're going to stay in Baton Rouge a little bit before we take a break, but St. Paul's at Zachary is going to be a great game. Yeah,
good test for Zachary starting off early in the season. And all the hype is around them being a team that can win 5A this year. But St. Paul's going to prove, Coach Sears going to get that squad ready. So it's going to be a really good test for them to see how they match up with St. Paul's.
Yeah, Zachary Holstein, this is a good test for him because St. Paul's is like a semifinal team. And they've got great defensive players. They got a great front seven back. St. Paul's has size, kind of like
physical. Yep.
They're like the Catholic High Baton Rouge of St. Tammany Parish.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, that's a good assessment. That They got some players. They got athletes. They got just really good, heady football players at St. Paul's, and they're going to be well coached by Coach Sears. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what Holstein does in that game, in that offense.
An interesting game is Dunham going to 5A Mandeville. That is very interesting.
Yeah, and they last week they got a chance. They actually came back and beat Parkview, which I thought was a pretty good victory for them. So let's see how they can handle Mandeville. Mandeville was a team that made the quarterfinals last year. They got some really good players, headlined by Landon Ibieta, who's a Miami commit. So they got good players, and Coach Gonzalez, he's done a good job with the program.
Yeah, the only thing they miss is their kicker, who's with Ole Miss now.
Yep, they got to replace their kicker, Kane Casa, who started for Ole Miss. And they also got to replace their quarterback, who's at McNeese right now.
Yeah, they lost a lot on offense last year, so Dunham might could sneak over there and win. Dunham's a better team this year.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about a 2A school against a 5A school, a powerhouse 5A school.
Mm-hmm.
Mandeville's still got talent. I still would think Mandeville would probably be the team to beat in that matchup that it's at home.
Yeah, and they have the bigger numbers. They have more depth.
Yeah, they got 100 kids.
Yep.
Speaking of two more games in Baton Rouge, I think Woodlawn at U-High is a real good game.
That's going to be intriguing. That's going to be an intriguing game to watch.
Yeah, Woodlawn's got a lot of talent. Collins at quarterback. They've got tons of skilled talent. Big. This is the biggest I've seen Woodlawn on OD line.
Yeah, and this is U-High's best team since when they were stacked and loaded with talent just a couple of years ago with all those guys. And U-High, they can be in position to win a championship this year with the guys they have back.
I think the two running backs at U-High are really good.
Yeah, Derek Graham
and Beck.
Brian Beck, yep.
And then you've got Miller, Leach on the O-line. You got a senior O-line across, Gavin Jones, a lot of big guys.
Got the Allsbury brothers.
And the D-line for U-High is as good as it's been in a long time. They've got 3 guys that are going to sign on their D-line.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have a lot of depth at U-High. That's the thing. They have to stay healthy to get to the Dome somehow, which would have to be through St. Thomas More.
Yeah, the St. Thomas More approved. Now, St. Thomas More still really good. We'll get to them, but losing a guy like at the receivers right now, a guy like Jack Best, it hurt them a little bit against Madison Prep last week.
Not just him, but 3 receivers that totaled over 250 catches the last 3 years.
Right, the 2 Carters, Carter Arsenault, Carter Dominique. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a big receiving core. Probably the best they've ever had, really.
And Carter's a walk-on at LSU right now, Carter Arsenault. The other Arsenault's a basketball kid that might play college basketball, 1AA or D1.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some teams around the other parts of the state. And again, it's different. It's not full schedule because since the Hurricane Ida, it's not a full. It's not all 315 teams going at it. But I think as we go on the end of September, we'll talk about that. But I think by the end of September, we're going to see most of the teams get back south. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. Before we get into the other parts of the state for high school football, I want to mention our sponsors, great sponsors, Madine's Collision Center. Give them a call if you need any body work or paint job on your car or truck. Locally owned since the 1960s. Call 357. Look, man, the thing about Madine's, Jace, there's going to be a point where I'm going to need them. And they're great people. 357-7983 is the number. Chris Madine, Dominica Madine. But, they're great people. And you got to do business with great people. The family-owned. John Harvey Toyota is out of Shreveport, Bossier City. They've got great dealerships for new or used cars. Just a great company to be a part of. Tell them Lee sent you if you need a new or used car. John Harvey Toyota in Bossier City or Shreveport. And also Trez and Care Tire Company, their new location in Central on Hooper Road and Park Place Drive. Give them a call at 331-8144 to take care of all your tire needs, brakes, alignments, all changes. And they also do a pickup and delivery. They've been in business since 1971. Continuing on, Jace, the schedule It's not a full schedule. It's and then you have COVID with some teams being out.
That's a new rule this year. It started with the playoffs. If you have a COVID issue, that's going to be a forfeit, and it carried over to the regular season. So it's not going to be, okay, we're going to schedule another team or so. No, you're going to win the game if you don't have the COVID problem. If you do have the COVID problem, you're playing an opponent, that will count as a loss on your schedule. That will count as a forfeit.
We didn't mention one other big game in Baton Rouge, Acadiana at Catholic High.
Oh, yeah. That's a big two defending state champions going at it with Acadiana and Catholic.
Kind of a revenge game for Acadiana.
Yeah.
Because they were beaten by
Catholic
last
won.
Year.
Yep.
And look, this is really crazy. I don't know why it worked out this way, but there's a reason for everything. This is Acadiana's second trip in a row to come to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I guess just with everything going on.
Right. So maybe they owe them 2 trips over to Scott, Louisiana.
Right. And last week, talk about your defensive slugfest. Acadiana defeated Karen Crow, and that was a hyped-up game, 9-7. So a lot of defense. You like a lot of defense and running the football. That was your game for you.
And it's not lack of talent offensively because both of those teams have talent.
Right.
That's impressive to me for Karen Crow because they lost more than Acadiana.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they lost their whole defense almost. And to hold Acadiana to that
pretty much the whole
points,
backfield too. Yeah.
Yeah. And Acadiana's, got a new quarterback. They actually moved their quarterback to linebacker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they've got some phenomenal running backs at Acadiana. They got a real good O-line at Acadiana.
Yep.
But Catholic and Acadiana, I think that's the game of the week, South Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And then, we get back into talking about St. Thomas More. They got Alexandria High School.
And Alexandria, they put up probably the most impressive effort. They went to play Faraday. And I know Faraday's a 2A school, but this is a 2A school that won a state championship a couple of years ago. And it wasn't even close. The final score was 65-8. So St. Thomas More, they're coming off a loss against Madison Prep, and they're going to have to play Alexandria. And Alexandria's loaded this year, and they're motivated after losing the state championship game last year in Class 5A. They were just this close to beating Acadiana last year. So I'm excited to see that game too.
Alexandria, I watched them this summer, and they look really good. I love their intensity, Jace. They didn't have the intensity like this the past 20 years I watched them.
Yeah.
But under Bachman, he brought some toughness to the program. And this team plays and has his personality. And Alexandria High School, I'm telling you, they're about to break that door down. I don't know when they're going to win state championship, but when they start winning them, they're going to be a force like West Monroe was back in the day with Shalves. I'm predicting that now.
Man.
And they're getting all of the top players within a 50-mile radius to go there now.
Right. It seems like Bachman, it had that advantage for a long time, but it seems like Bachman now is really taking advantage of that.
No, he is awakened a sleeping giant.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if they think that was a fluke, them going to the state championship game last year, this was not a fluke.
No, it wasn't. It was not a fluke.
And this is a program that's kind of just been kind of like just going like jogging.
Yeah, it was kind of building up to that point last year.
And when Bachman came in, he changed the culture and just, Fitzgerald started it, who ended up going to Washington, right? But then Bachman came in, put his prints on the job, and what I saw this summer, Alexandria High School is going to be putting out a lot of players to the college.
Oh, yeah.
D1s, too. They've got some big-time studs. And they lost a lot. And the only reason they're probably not going to be favored is they have a new quarterback. Mm-hmm. And he's going to end up being very good born-along over time.
Right.
And I really love their OD line again. And I think their receiving core has got a chance to be the best in Alexandria, that area.
That's the good thing about Bordelon. He doesn't have to win games on his own because of all the players that he has around him.
They got a great running back who's a senior. And they've got some really good – their defense has so much toughness to them now, Jace. Used to, you would play Alexandria and go, they look good, but they just don't come out there and, stick it to you.
Right.
Kind of like what you don't see with LSU right now.
Yeah.
But Alexandria, when you get on the field, Alexandria now, it's a fight.
Yeah, I think they woke a lot of people's eyes when they played West Monroe in the playoffs. And any time that you can beat West Monroe in the playoffs, it says a lot.
And then Zachary at Zachary.
Yeah, right.
I mean, goes to Zachary and just boom. First time Zachary's lost, I think, in the semis, and maybe the first time.
I think it was the first time before the semis they lost since I think Brew took over. Really, in the last 5-6 years since Brew really took over. They lost before the semis.
We're going to take a break. We come back. We'll keep talking North Louisiana for Friday night games. We'll be right back. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Madine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. Lee Brecheen, your host. Jace LeJeune, our co-host today. We're going to continue in the North Louisiana area. The Battle on the Border, Independence Stadium. I've been there a few times. 5:30 start game Friday. C.E. Bird against Tioga. Great matchup.
Yeah.
Bird's a little younger than they were last year. Still talented. Tioga is got a new quarterback. We're going to see how that works out. But the coaching there is phenomenal.
Yep.
And Tioga's like Alexandria High School. They believe. The culture is strong. The kids, work hard. Think this could go either way, I think, because Bird is, again, young in a lot of spots, so they're going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, they got a chance to play last week, and they blew out a pretty talented Huntington team last week, and then meanwhile Tioga, they just lost by a point to Como, but this is the first game of the season. Tioga is going to be right in the thick of things for 4A this year, so that will be an intriguing matchup up in Shreveport.
Two very underrated programs in Shreveport that don't get enough credit is Houghton and Northwood. When most people think of Houghton, they think of Dak Prescott. And then you say, what else? And they go, I don't know. Well, Houghton has a great program. And their last 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks have been either All-State or signed with colleges.
Yeah.
Their system of their offensive spread is really well-oiled. And they've got big O-line every year. Their defensive line is going to be huge.
Yep.
They're a little young at linebacker.
Yeah, really young at linebacker. I think they graduate everybody.
And then Northwood's got some studs coming up. I mean, they're not looked at as a team you talk about, but they should be. We're doing it today. But I watched Northwood on film last year, and I have the last few years, starting back with the Bogan brothers that were quarterback.
Yeah.
But Northwood's got a big-time D1 quarterback.
Yeah, he's flying really under the radar.
They got a couple of big-time defensive players, D1, and they've got a good team. I mean, they have the Texas Longhorn jerseys to me.
Yeah.
They got
the white and that orange, that burnt orange.
They look like the Texas Longhorns. But really great game. And then Logansport is a great program that they've got some talent coming back. They were young last year. And then Lola Prep has a chance to be very good this year with their quarterback back and a lot of good talent back around him. North DeSoto, Parkway, always a good game when Parkway is involved. And then North DeSoto's loaded with Kelvin Kinney at quarterback. Yep. They got a big O-line. Dennis Dunn, this is going to be one of his best. This is going to be the best North DeSoto team, I think, in the history of school on paper. Now, what happens, we'll see, but I think this is the dark horse team for a state championship game. I'm just throwing that out right now.
Wow.
I really do believe
you heard it here first.
I think North DeSoto has a lot more size than they've ever had. They've always had some good skill players. They've always had good running backs.
Yeah, they got a good one right now at Northwestern right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I just think North DeSoto with Dennis Dunn, he's kind of like done what Bachman did at Alexandria. He's come in and just made this program a lot better, and I think they're going to be in the thick of things. They've come up short the last few years to some good programs.
Yep.
And but then you have some Saturday games. You got Captain Shreve and Leedsville battle on the board.
Yeah, really intriguing game.
7 p.m., same time as LSU. And
pick and choose.
Captain Shreve's a very good program. Leedsville's got a Galashaw. It's a good running back.
Yeah, Caleb Galashaw.
Caleb Galashaw. And then you got Mawai's nephew on the team, good linebacker. Kevin Mawai's nephew. And Oxford, Mississippi, who's known for a lot of talent, is playing Ruston, who's trying to find their identity. I saw them in the summer. They've struggled a little bit against Edna Carr. Everybody would, I think.
Yeah, they came up. I mean, they played really hard against Neville High School. They came up short last week, and this week they're trying to find somebody to play. But you know, not a lot of teams going to go out of their way to play Ruston, so they had to go out of state and find Oxford High School and play them this week.
Union Parish is loaded with talent. They're playing a good Airline. Airline's not talked about, but Airline's got a big senior group this year, Jace.
Yeah, and talk about teams to watch out for. Union Parish last week, they had to play Tackett Curtis and Manny, and they defeated them, the defending 2A state champions, and they're probably going to win 2A again. So, yeah, beat them by 10 points. And then this week, if they go and beat a 5A good Airline team, boy, watch out for Union Parish.
You know, General Trask had a Cinderella season in 220.
They did. And
they return their quarterback. So they got a chance to be really good again. They don't return on everybody, but Wassman's a good, improved program.
Yeah, they won their week 1 game.
And in Oak Grove, Ouachita Christian, great matchup.
Yeah, as always. That's always really good one to watch in Monroe. Between two great programs, two great head coaches, and just, I mean, that's as good as it gets in the Monroe area.
Oak Grove's got a young quarterback, last name of Bradley. His dad, Josh Bradley, was a former LSU signee.
Yeah, he was.
Tech starter. He was a tight end, 6'7".
Yeah.
Before you were born, James.
Yep.
I watched him play. He was 230, 6'7" back in the day. So son's already 6'4".
Okay. I didn't put the 2 to 2 together there. Yeah. Okay.
So Bradley's going to be a good quarterback, and he's only a sophomore. And then Ouachita Parish, who's always good. Ouachita High School, as I call them, and Neville. I mean, you never can say, oh, Neville's going to win this one. Ouachita's always talent. Phillip Bradford, their defensive end, who just moved back from Dallas, he could be the best player in North Louisiana before it's said and done because he's been gone for 2 years.
Right, yeah.
6'5", about 260, runs a 4.8.
Yeah, they got Cormica Glass, too. He's another really good player for them.
Big-time player, linebacker. I mean, Ouachita's always talented.
They've always been tough in those games, too. So it's just a matter of just like Alexandria, just going over the hump and being on top of some of those games.
And finally, I agree with you on this. Sterlington, who's super talented, has everybody back, at a very talented Mangum. This is going to be a great game. Probably be the game I would have went to if I live in North Louisiana this week. But I think Mangum is really getting back to their old form.
Yep.
And Sterlington's, I mean, man, that's the only offense where you see the running back 10 yards in the backfield.
Yeah.
It's kind of unique.
Yeah. Yep. It's effective, though.
It's effective.
Very effective.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the North Shore and around the state, a little in some other areas in Louisiana. We'll be right back. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. We got Jace LeJeune as a guest today. The North Shore, which is, Covington, Mandeville, Franklinton, and all these different areas over there. But, North Shore High School, very improved. Had a chance to meet with the coach over the summer, playing a much improved Salmon. Yeah. Jace, I told you Salmon looks to me like the old Salmon. I went to watch him practice a month ago.
Right.
And I was really, really impressed with their ability, and they have more players than they've had in a long time. I mean, at one time, Salmon was one of the top programs in the state.
Right, with Coach Stubbs. Yeah.
I mean, they had they had the Woods brothers, they had Brandon Dale that went to LSU, they had Mike Sutton that went to LSU. I mean, they were putting out some players. They were going to the Dome. They were winning the district every year. I think Salmon's got a chance to be one of their best teams in a long time.
Yeah. In North Shore, they think this is their best team. That's why I highlighted that game, because both coaches are really excited about their teams this year and being really much improved.
Franklinton's very talented. They just they gotta find that edge again.
Yep.
You know, just got to get that edge back to them to where, you know, the old days with Terrence McGee and, you know, all the great players that came out of Franklinton over the years, the Taylor brothers.
Yep, right.
You know, so they've got talent. It's just got to put it together. And Covington's super talented again. I mean, Covington's got everybody back. They were young the last 2 years.
Yeah, and that's why they probably took a step back the last 2 years, but they're going to be back. And Coach Salter coaches a really good football program.
What I like with Covington, Jace, is the offensive line is huge. Logan, the big senior that's 6'6", 310 pounds, they can actually run the ball. They've got a great safety coming back. They've got a couple of good receivers. I mean, they've got some great players coming back. In the North Shore area on a Saturday game, which is kind of unique from the North Shore, Slaughter's at Lakeshore, which is going to be a great game. Lakeshore's loaded.
Yep.
They could be a championship team this year. Slaughter's got a lot more talent than you think they do. I was at both schools this summer. And Slaughter, I like the team. I really do. I think they're always good, but nobody really puts them up there. You know, Matt Forte was there, and you know they've always had the Best brothers that came out of there, Blaine and Brett Best. Right. But nobody really, you know, puts them up there. And I'm just a fan of Slidell High School because they're due to break through one day, you know, to get to a championship game. I played against Reggie Cooper that went to Nebraska back in the 80s.
Okay, yeah, that's going back.
He was an All-American safety. I felt him. Trust me, he was tough. He was like Mike Singletary when he would hit you. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue around the state. We're also going to talk about who's not going to play this week, and we'll be right back with much more. And we'll have the colleges later in the show.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. We're going to continue talking about high school football games for tonight. Lake Charles area. Very interesting matchup. Benton from the Bossier City area coming to Barb.
Yep.
Barb's trying to get back from the hurricane. They lost a lot of kids. It's more of a junior, sophomore team. They lost most of their seniors that are finishing probably at the schools they were at. One's at Bruley, a defensive end, Denarius Robinson, who's all-world. But when you don't have all your seniors back, I'm interested to see how Barb does, Jace, this year.
Yeah, I'm interested too. They did a good thing that they did get was a running back from Kinder there, who's back with them after playing with Kinder last year. But yeah, it's going to take some time when you sit out like a whole season. It's going to take some time to get back in the thick of things. And Benton, this is a really good football team, a really good defense. Because you talked about Mason Welsh and Northwood, their offense, and they pretty much shut them down. Davis Sellers and those guys they're really good, tough defense to go against. So it's a good measuring stick right now for Barb to see where they're at, and what they need to do going forward.
And if they do well, it's a bonus year for them, I think.
Yeah,
because they're going to be back.
Yeah, I still think they're a year away, just because of having that year off hurts.
And hey, if they beat Benton, hey, they're on their way.
Yeah, they're on their way already. Yep.
You know, a lot of before we start talking about games that won't be played, one more game in the Lake Charles area. Kinder, man, they've had a great decade of football. At Iowa. A lot of people say Iowa.
Yeah, right.
It took me a while, but they're like, no, Lee, it's Iowa.
It took me a while, too.
Yeah, I was like, Iowa. They're both talented.
Yep.
10 years ago, Iowa really was just a strong, tough team. Now they have talent. They have a lot of talent. Caesar came out of there last year. Clarence Caesar's son, CJ, signed with ULL.
Right.
They got 2 more great skill players this year. They're big. I like Iowa. I like Kinder. This is a heck of a game, Jace.
Yeah, in Kinder, you know what you're going to get. They made a state championship game last year when a lot of people didn't think that they would make it, but they did. So you can't count out Coach Fusilier and Kinder. So, man, that's going to be a really good matchup to see.
You know, here's one that's going to be interesting. Iota, much improved. Everybody's back. Sleeper team.
Yeah, this was 2 years ago. They were number 1 seed in all the playoffs.
Take my hat off to those coaches, because prior to 3 years ago, they were winning 2 games a year.
Yeah, they were pretty much nothing before Coach Andres came up.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a heck of a job. St. Louis Catholic, this is why I'm bringing this game up. They lost a lot of kids from the hurricane last year that hit Lake Charles.
Yeah. And they were going to set themselves with a good season before that. And then
they have a small senior class, kind of like Barb. And so a lot of their guys are not back that would have been in the senior group. So I'm kind of interested to see how will St. Louis do with freshmen and sophomores, locally. Now, the good news is for St. Louis Catholic, they're getting a new school.
Yeah.
New facilities for the first time in the history of the program, which I think is going to make them a powerhouse because they're going to get better facilities. And I think kids, they're all about that now, parents. The new and the most improved.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a great education.
And they got a new coach, too, and it's Brock Mathern, who was a great quarterback back in the day at Bell Chase.
Yeah. It's crazy you're saying that. He was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He was he had a heart bigger than the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And when Coach Myers was coaching him, I mean, man, that state championship game, I remember how gutsy he was. He was kind of like Johnny Manziel in the state championship game. He was like 5'9".
Yeah.
180.
Just all heart out there.
Man, he could sling it and he could run. He was tough.
Yep.
He's going to bring that to St. Louis.
Yep.
So he got a great young coach and new facilities at a great academic school. One more I want to mention that you didn't circle, but it's a good one.
Okay.
Everybody's thinking, well, Lake Charles Prep's going to beat everybody, right, every week.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But, man, don't count this as a gimme win tonight, Franklin Parish.
Mm-hmm.
Franklin Parish is loaded.
Yep.
And when North Louisiana comes to town, they have an edge.
Mm-hmm.
When I say not an edge, I'm not talking about an advantage. I'm talking about a tough.
Yeah, just
toughness.
an attitude with them. Yep.
Franklin Parish brings a team in to Lake Charles that's going to go 290 across the OD line. They're tight end 6'6", 250. He's going to be a junior.
Yep. They
return everybody. It's small town. They are going to want to get their name out.
And
there
everybody
early.
knows all the guys Lake Charles Prep has, so they're going to get their
and everybody else.
Yeah, they're going to get their best from everybody else because knowing the hype around that team this year.
It's good to see Grand Lake. See how they do compared to last year.
What a season they had last year, making the state championship with the hurricane. I mean, I
didn't see that coming.
Yeah, that was incredible what Coach Wainwright did last year.
I think he did the coaching job in the United States.
Yeah, I think so too. He deserved Coach of the Year last year for what he did.
Lost all their stuff, facilities, everything, and they still played. Most schools wouldn't even play, Jace.
Yeah, they're one of the few in Lake Charles that did play last year.
Yeah, schools that won't play. Catholic New Iberia Breaux Bridge, COVID-related issues.
Yeah, and that's the thing this year. Last year,
Notre Dame, Sulphur.
Yep.
Oakdale, Ville Platte, Oberlin, North Central. I mean, it's a lot, Lakeside Block.
Yeah, I know a headliner was Brother Martin, West Monroe. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to see that game.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, you notice we didn't mention New Orleans because nobody's playing.
Yeah.
Rommel at Ruston's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen either.
Brother Martin at West Monroe is not going to happen. Booker T. Washington at Sandoval is not going to be played.
That's why Sam wanted to go get somebody else. Yep.
Central Lafourche and Vandy Catholic's not going to play. I mean, Homa was
hit hard.
Homa and Thibodeau.
Yep.
Country Day Ascension Catholic, so that won't happen. Dunham was going to play Hammond, so Dunham's staying in that area of the state.
Right, they're playing Mandeville. Yep. Which I think is encouraging, too, because that North Shore area was hit hard, too, and they got a lot of teams already coming back, so that's very encouraging.
East St. John got hit hard in LaPlace with this hurricane.
Yeah, so Plaquemine had to play.
Your dad's school.
Yeah, my dad's school had to play Assumption, so that's going to be a really good competitive game for them.
Now, there's too many to talk about, but John Arrett originally was going to play Zachary, so Zachary picked up St. Paul's.
Yeah, St. Paul's, yep.
John Curtis was going to play Oxford, Mississippi. And then Oxford, Mississippi's now
picked up
out of the border.
Ruston. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So Hanville was going to be at Mandeville. Now Mandeville Dunham.
Yep, right.
Ponchatoula's not going to play.
We don't know
unless
when
they pick up a game or pick up a team.
We don't know when they're coming back because I think they were hit pretty hard.
Newman and Riverside, that would have been a great rematch.
We went to that game last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
South Lafourche, prayers to everybody there. They're not playing. and we don't know how long. You talk to the coaches. You
Yeah.
talk to the quarterbacks. Dad.
Yeah. Right. And
Gisclair.
yeah, they're hoping they can come back in a week or two, but they're still not sure when they're going to come back.
They had Thibodeau who got hit hard.
Yeah, Thibodeau got hit really hard, which is disappointing because Thibodeau has a really talented, really good football team this year. I know everybody's talking about the defensive linemen, but they have a really good football team this year.
And then Warren Easton was going to come to Woodlawn, and then Woodlawn's now playing U High.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So West St. John was going to play St. James, but now St. James is playing.
They're playing on a Saturday. They're playing or Shaw.
Yeah, Shaw.
So Shaw from New Orleans,
one of the rare few schools.
Yeah, they're coming back. That's good to see.
Being on the West Bank, I don't know, maybe they were able to do it, but a lot of the West Bank teams aren't playing. And look, you might see some teams pick up teams before, by the time the show comes out. You might see some teams.
I feel like when we get to October, things are going to be a lot more normal because you see more and more teams coming out each week. You're going to see it. More and more teams come out. So it's encouraging a lot of teams, especially in the areas that were hit hard, are coming back.
I'm going to tell you about a good game on that we're taping this show. Actually, it's Thursday, but in the future we'll just play like it's Friday. But you're hearing it on Friday.
Yeah, I ruined it at the beginning.
Yeah, but Vermilion Catholic, Opelousas Catholic, Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Two great programs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Opelousas Catholic's really good this year. Vermilion's won 90%
Coach
of the
David's
games.
a great coach. And then Coach Brecheen, he's got their program doing really well. And they've usually been pretty good with quarterback play. And they're going to have to replace a really good quarterback from the last 3 or 4 years. So we'll see how they do with a new guy under center. And
I want to mention this. A great game that people might not mention, but Lauraville's really talented, and they're playing at North Vermilion, who's very talented. They're not like marquee names that you hear about, but these two teams are really experienced and very good football teams. And another one being played that the teams are talented but not being mentioned, and they might be highly ranked, is St. Edmunds playing Basile. They're very good teams. And another one to keep your eye on is Hamilton Christian is loaded from Lake Charles, and they're going to Highland Baptist in New Iberia, who's very good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another good game. And then a rival locally, McKinley Capital.
Yeah.
Thursday night game. These two teams have been playing for almost 100 years.
Yep.
Going back, Jace, to the late Eddie Robinson, who was a McKinley graduate.
Yeah, right. He was.
And Roman Bates.
Legendary Roman Bates,
We lost this year from Capital, one of my favorite coaches. I want to mention, too, before we take a break, Jace, it's been on my mind. And we didn't mention it last time, but I want to do more on it. But I really want to talk about prayers to the family of Kevin Franklin.
Yes.
Kevin,
friend of the show,
was a friend of mine, and I'm really going to miss him. I'm in total shock to this day.
Yeah, I am too.
I talked to Kevin about a week and a half before I think even went in the hospital, and I wasn't even aware that he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then I heard about it, and then bam, I just when I heard about the news that he had passed away, I was just it was tough.
Yeah.
He was not just a great football player at LSU
he
and
was
Southern.
A great guy.
He was an incredible human being.
Yes, he was. One of the best human beings I've ever seen. Every time I talk to him, he's always in great spirits.
Yeah. He would call me once every 2 weeks, Jace, to say, hey, man, what's going on, Lee? Man, what's going on?
Yeah.
Let's talk about LSU. Let's talk about the recruits. And
Yep.
I'm not
always
have
full
that
of life
anymore, man. I mean, heaven got an angel, man.
They did. They did.
And he, like I said, he was a great father. He was a great husband. He was a great everything. And then he was with the Bruin Network with Catholic High.
Yeah,
right?
and that's how I found now as far as him being in the hospital, which was last week, and I couldn't. Yeah, I was heartbroken when I heard the news last week about it as well. But I mean, great guy. We all knew what he did at Catholic and what a great player he was, but just a great human being. Every time you saw him, he was never in a bad mood. He was always full of life, full of energy, and man, I'm gonna miss him.
And I want to mention this. He used to always tell me, he said, Lee, I want to be in the Catholic Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he definitely deserves his place in there.
He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yes.
And I really hope that the Catholic High people put him in because he was one of the first parade All-American players at running back before even Mark Dunn.
Yeah.
And
they were in the same backfield, which was
right.
which was just crazy
right.
to see.
And I think he deserves to have one of those jackets with the Catholic High family there. He was one of the all-time greats at Catholic. And, you know, he ran track. People don't remember.
Yeah,
Kevin ran track at LSU and Southern.
Mm-hmm.
He played for the Raiders for a little bit. And but, again, I'm going to miss him. I'm still tore up over it.
Yeah, I am too.
You know, prayers to his family. And Kevin Franklin,
way too soon.
Way too young.
Yeah, way too soon.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about college games this weekend. We'll get to that. We'll be right back. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, you've got to go to Madine's Collision Center, located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Family owned since the 1960s. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm Lee Brecheen, your host. You know, Friday's just a great night for communities and the states around this country. There's nothing like, and I don't want to just say football. I want to say baseball. I want to say lacrosse, basketball, softball, track, wrestling, everything. I mean, there's nothing more than a young, you know, female, male that looks forward to all their hard work to go out and perform in front of their parents, their grandparents on a Friday, Thursday, or during the week with baseball. Or Saturdays now.
Yeah.
Then sports in the state of let's just talk about Louisiana. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, every year we go through hurricanes, we go through storms. Sports is a way to keep your mind off of those things, just off your normal. Just stop thinking about everything that's happening in your life, and just for an hour or 3 hours, just focusing on your team, your favorite team, and supporting them. So it's a great way. Just all over the country with all the tragic events that's happened over the last 20 years, it's a good way to keep your mind off what's happening, and just for a couple hours, just support your team.
I remember when I was a little boy in Baton Rouge. We were living in Baton Rouge, and this is Jace. This is way before you were ever thought of, but in 1975, 76. All right, I'm a little bitty guy now. I'm kindergarten age, and I'm already knowing about football, right? My I remember me and my dad left a youth league practice where he was a youth league coach. And back then, we'd go get a snowball or something. You know, that was the treat of the day, and it was always hot. And I would see people on Friday nights walking in convenience stores with, like, their kids' number on them. You know, number 12, Broadmoor, number 10, Catholic High, or Scotlandville. And I used to say, Dad, man, that's great. These people are happy. You know, just seeing people's different alumni shirts and just they're just excited to get to the football field. And that was ingrained in me at an early age to say, man, this is really a great thing. And there's nothing like Louisiana. And I'm sure they say this in Texas.
Yeah, everywhere you go.
They probably say this in Alabama,
Ohio, Florida. Yeah, they say it everywhere.
But this is Louisiana's as passionate as any state you'll find.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
So we're going to turn our attention to college football.
Yeah.
And we went through high school. Thank God. In one way, we could finish it because we'd still be talking for another hour if everybody was playing.
Yeah, right.
So there's some good games, Jace, that are going to be this Saturday.
Yeah, I could throw out some matchups for you to see what you think about them. But first of all, you have Pittsburgh against Tennessee, and Josh Heupel, probably his first big test to see where they're at Tennessee in that program.
You know, Pittsburgh's coached by the former Wisconsin head coach. And, you know, there's so many former Wisconsin head coaches since Barry Alvarez. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, you got like 4 guys, and they're all still coaching at left Wisconsin. But I'm a Pittsburgh fan, and they just haven't been able to get that program back to like it was when they had Dan Marino and Tony Dorsett and, you know, Ricky Jackson and all and they had such a great offensive line, Mark May and Bill Fralick and all these great players they've had. But, man, this is an even-Steven game. Tennessee hasn't had a good season since I was probably 35 years old, and I'm in my 50s.
Yeah, Phil Fulmer was there.
You know, I guess whoever wins this game can brag a little bit, I guess, because they're both historical great programs. But
Call it the Johnny Majors Bowl.
Yeah, but nobody's really going to watch this game. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I am, because I'm going to watch SEC team, and I like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it.
And is it at Pittsburgh?
It's at Tennessee. 11 o'clock on ESPN.
I got to go with Tennessee in Neyland Stadium. But Pittsburgh, man, I mean, they just got to keep those Pennsylvania boys in state. And the ones that stay in state, they go to Penn State.
Yep, so we have another one. This is another test for a freshman quarterback for a nationally ranked top 5 team, and that's number 5 Texas A&M. They're going to have to go and play Colorado, I believe, at the Mile High Stadium in Denver. So big test for number 5 Texas A&M.
Here's what I think of this game, Jace. This reminds me of the LSU-UCLA game for A&M. A&M thinks they're, hot stuff right now, right?
Right.
And I watched A&M the other day. I am not impressed.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed. I don't think they're a top 5 team based on what I saw.
And I watched Colorado the last 2 years. They're different. They got talent. And it's not at A&M. Temperature's a little different.
Yeah.
Right? And then Haynes King's not very experienced. I don't think Haynes King is there yet.
Yeah, me either. Now he's really talented, but he's still a far way to go.
But guess what? This is the first test. Colorado's a lot better than Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
And A&M lost a lot of their O-line, so we really didn't know what. It's kind of like LSU starting with Toledo. LSU probably wins like A&M won.
Yeah, right.
Not the same.
Right.
But it makes me think, if A&M would have played UCLA week 1, what would have happened at UCLA? I think might have been UCLA.
Yeah, especially your quarterback making your first ever start. Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of the offense that Jimbo has. It worked once with Jameis Winston 1 year at Florida State. And when he left Florida State, they ran him out of town, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he beats Florida last year. And he doesn't go to Atlanta, doesn't play for a big bowl game. I think he beats North Carolina, right, in a bowl game last year. But they sat 20 kids because of COVID.
Yep, right.
I mean, I'm not on the bandwagon yet.
Okay, so another game to throw out. This is where College Game Day is going to, and that is the big rivalry between Iowa and Iowa State. Iowa State, number 9 in the country. Iowa, number 10. Iowa State, they almost lost to Northern Iowa in an upset. Meanwhile, Iowa dominated Indiana, which is a ranked team, and people thought that was one of the best performances in Week 1 what Iowa did. So what do you think about who comes out of that rivalry matchup?
The first thing I think of is the painful loss Saban had at LSU Iowa in the bowl game.
Yep, right, at the Outback Bowl. Yep.
I guarantee you at some point, because Nick probably is bothered by certain losses in his life. That was his last game as a coach at LSU.
I believe Kirk Ferentz was still there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that at some point Saban's probably thinking that's one of the losses in college ball that he still would rather forget.
That was his last game, right, at LSU?
That was the last game.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
After the game, boom, gone.
Yep.
I love this game. I think these two teams, they don't like one another very much, and it's two tough teams. I think Matt Campbell's a heck of a coach at Iowa State.
Yeah, he is. Great coach.
Ferentz, hats off to being there 30-something years. And Hayden Fry was like the coach before him.
Yeah, right.
And Hayden Fry is a Hall of Famer.
And we just lost him recently.
Man. Hayden, icon. I grew up watching those great Iowa teams with Hayden Fry.
Mm-hmm.
But, Iowa, you know what you're always going to get with Iowa? You're going to get a big O-line.
Big tight ends.
And they're going to come at you, and they're going to give you black eyes from, punched in the mouth.
Oh, yeah. Physical as it.
But it's going to be boring as boring. It's going to be the boring game of the weekend because they're both going to run, and they're going to play 80s ball. Yep. Now, I like it.
Yep.
But the people don't like 80s ball. They want 4 wide. They want to see.
I like a little bit. I just don't want just straight offense,
So this is going to go down to the kicker, and hopefully he's got his sandwich eaten and digested on the sideline. Kickers can eat during a game. But hopefully whoever is kicking the field goal for whatever team makes the field goal. But I got Iowa because Iowa looked good week 1.
Yeah, they did. They looked really impressive. And another game that everybody is wanting to talk about because we're going to see who's really on the right track right now, and that's number 15 Texas or Arkansas. Texas plays Arkansas on Saturday as well.
We're going to find out if Texas is overrated.
Yep.
We're going to find out if Arkansas is any good.
Yeah, it's getting itself back.
Arkansas lost a defensive end for the year yesterday in practice.
Okay.
Big loss. When you lose a starting D lineman, it's hard to replace, and then you're not too deep. Now, Phillip Franks, I thought, did a good job at Arkansas last year. Believe it or not.
He did.
And the new quarterback played against LSU as a freshman. He's a big kid. He's still kind of wild with his throws, though, and I don't know if he's ready for Texas. Now, if Texas gets beat by Arkansas, Jace, Texas might not win a game in the Big 12. I mean, because Arkansas, I don't know how they're going to score. I mean, they just don't have a great running game.
Yeah, it took them a while to really get going against Rice.
Now, Arkansas has a good defense. They're the only team in the SEC where everybody came back to get that extra year. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like 7 starters were out of eligibility, but they got that COVID year. So you're playing the whole defense again.
But you can tell the attitude's different, and the players are actually buying into what Sam Pittman is trying to do over there.
Traylon Burks is the real deal.
Yep.
At receiver.
Yep. And they got a really good defensive back over there, too.
2 are from Louisiana.
Yep.
That are their studs.
Yep.
But I think it's going to be a great game, though.
Okay. And then as far as another matchup to throw, this is probably the best or like the biggest SEC matchup with 2 SEC teams going against each other this week. And it's going to decide who's in the pecking order right now, the SEC East, and that's Missouri against Kentucky.
I think it's going to be the boring game of the weekend outside of Iowa State.
Yeah.
Again, I think Kentucky shows a little more throwing the ball. He's a little erratic. I think he's going to be great, the quarterback at Kentucky. He's got a heck of an arm.
Mm-hmm.
But Kentucky's a very boring team to watch, I think. And then Missouri's kind of boring too, unless you watch them score, 45 on LSU.
Yeah, right.
But where's it being played, Kentucky or Missouri?
That is playing at, I believe, in Lexington.
I take Kentucky here. Kentucky's very hard to beat at home. Missouri's very hard to beat at home, believe it or not. I don't know why, but they should have beat Florida 2 years in a row when they had them at Missouri.
Yep.
Both times. They let them come back. And they beat LSU in Missouri. But Missouri's one of these teams, Jace, there's no highly ranked players hardly on the whole roster unless they're transfers. And they don't even have a lot of Missouri guys. Like, they lose most of their top guys to other teams.
Yeah, they do.
So
I think they got excited last year when they signed the 4-star. Like, they were, super excited to sign the 4-star.
It's like a taxi squad team, right, of no names. And that makes it harder for LSU fans to even know they beat LSU last year with a bunch of guys that nobody really recruited.
Now, the biggest matchup as far as, like, besides, the top 10 matchup, Iowa and Iowa State, but another hyped-up matchup for Saturday that everybody's going to want to watch is Oregon versus Ohio State.
We're going to find out what Oregon has because
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State brings it. Even if Ohio State's boring, and they haven't been boring because the last few years their quarterbacks have been very exciting prior to Jim Tressel.
Yeah.
Tressel's offenses, even with Terrell Pryor, were kind of run.
Mm-hmm.
But the last 2 coaches, Urban Meyer changed Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State's going to run away with this.
No matter if Thibodeau plays for Oregon or not.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if Oregon has 15 players on defense. I just don't think they bring it. Oregon doesn't have that tough physical team, but they look good.
Okay. So we got that game, and then also another game that's intriguing. Washington lost to an FCS team. But they're going to actually have to play Michigan, and we're going to find out. This is a big year for Jim Harbaugh, so we'll see if they can actually get back on track, or this is a kind of a big year for Jim Harbaugh. This is a good game to start off to see where Michigan is at.
Well, Washington, their coach Lake, it was a coordinator, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Lake.
Under Peterson. and that was not a popular hire by the fans. So they're kind of feeling the way fans are feeling at LSU, maybe with Ed, not being a head coach much, besides Ole Miss and that debacle. But Jimmy Lake is a guy that really was that a good old boy hire because he was on the staff and never been a head coach? I don't think Washington can win this game. I think Washington could have a horrible season. I mean, they lost to Montana week 1?
Yep.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And they've recruited like LSU. They've recruited top 10, 15
Yeah, the
classes.
quarterback they recruit is supposed to be like the 5-star and top in the country as far as the guy coming in.
I think Washington's in trouble. I think they're underachieving, and they've put out some great players. And speaking of Ohio State, the number 1 player in the country supposedly this past year was from Washington, JT Talavera.
Yeah,
who's a big D tackle.
Right. Yep.
And he signs with Ohio State over Washington.
Yep.
And the only way I think that Jimmy Lake saves his job is upsetting USC or UCLA.
Now, if you lose this game, if you're Jim Harbaugh, then
you're in serious trouble.
Right, serious trouble. That's why it's a big game.
I think Jim's a great coach.
I think so too. Yep.
I just think the game has changed, and he's not a spread guy.
Right.
And he refuses to adjust.
Right.
He's more like that Les Miles guy that tried to make it work from the pros.
Yep.
And I like that he's old school, man. If you're a coach listening to the show, we love to see the ball run. We love, get in your face and, knock people off the ball and kill the clock. But you know what? If you're not great at it, like Bama, you're going to be, 8-4 every year?
Yeah, you have to adjust. And Nick Saban's the same. He's a hard school. I mean, he's a defensive guy, but he knows you have to adjust in order to do well.
And I think Jim mutually won't be there after this year if they don't have a great year, because he doesn't have to take it. I mean, he's a great pro coach. And I think you can still be a pro coach with that run mentality because you got the talent. You can go get your talent like his brother does with the Ravens, right? Let's face it, the Ravens are very boring to watch because they're 80s school, run the ball.
Now they got an exciting player.
They do. But
Lamar.
They're boring as far as how
what they're trying to do.
And I just think you're going to see Jim coaching in the NFL as a head coach like a month after he leaves college.
Oh, he's definitely a good coach. You saw what he did for the 49ers and what he did even at Stanford, back in the day. So he's definitely – coaching's not the question for him. But, moving on, let's talk – a sneaky rivalry game, BYU and Utah. That's always a, game that's on like at 10 o'clock at night, when everybody's about to go to sleep. But big rivalry game, and BYU, Utah, they take that rivalry really seriously.
Jace, I watched Brigham Young play this past week, and actually I stayed up till 1 in the morning, because they started.
Yeah, they started like 9, 10, yep.
And I was shocked how good they were without their quarterback, who's with the Jets now. I was really shocked.
He looked pretty good, too, out there. I saw a little bit of that game,
Yeah, I mean, Brigham Young looks like a tough team again. They look very similar to last year.
Yeah, a lot of those guys besides Zach Wilson were back.
I think they got a chance to be maybe better if the quarterback position, the new quarterback did good.
Yeah, he looked pretty good out there.
And Utah, Willingham just always seems to be so close. By the way, Chris Curry, former LSU running back.
Yeah, he's at Utah.
He's third team. Not a good move.
Wow.
He's actually fourth team.
So he pretty much would be in the same position if he stayed at LSU?
Well, he should have stayed in, at LSU. He's a Florida kid. But just to throw it out there for listeners, he got 3 carries for like 3 yards or 4 yards, and then there was 3 above him that got 7 or more carries. Okay. And so him being an older guy, and he's like 4th on the totem pole.
Yeah, you thought he would transfer and be 1 or 2 up there in the depth chart.
Yeah, and he's not beating a starter out who's a pro prospect, and the second team guy is a pro prospect. So it just goes to show you that transfer portal's not really good for some of these guys. But look, Utah, Willingham, I like Willingham a lot. And you know who played for Willingham was Cecil Thomas, who's an assistant coach at Scotlandville.
Yeah.
Who's from Hammond.
Yep.
He played at Utah.
Okay.
And he loves Coach Willingham, and I do too. I think he's a great coach. Prior to the Pac-12, they were dominating.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like the Fresno States of the world. They were independent.
Like Boise States, right.
But I'm really pulling for Utah to finally break through in the Pac-12, Jace, because every big game when they're like 7-1 or 6-1, they just always end up being a 2-3 loss team late in the season.
Okay, and let's talk about the game in Baton Rouge. LSU, McNeese State, the Orgeron Bowl, father-son. What do you think? Does LSU fix a lot of their problems from last week, and how do you think this win looks if LSU wins? Because based off last week,
you know what a lot of people are going to be looking at, Jace. A lot of people that listen to this show. I don't think the true football fans, the guys that really, especially coaches or people who've been following it for 30, 40 years, they're going to look at the effort. They're going to watch the effort of the players and. Are the players really giving 100%? Are they going to give more than they gave against UCLA? That's what's going to be the main thing. If they come out there just kind of lackadaisical and just going through the motions, very, very scary. Because you have to change that mentality of, okay, we want to play this game. We're going to get after them. We're going to end this game early, right? So we can get Nussmeier in, right? We can get him in like maybe the second quarter. Now, Max still needs reps because he's young, but maybe Max plays a half, right?
Yeah.
And then Nussmeier,
that's best case scenario.
Nussmeier gets the second half.
Mm-hmm.
But you're supposed to score 40 points at half.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think that's going to be the issue. I'm curious to see what this defense does effort-wise.
Well, the effort is all you're going to see from this because man-to-man, talent for talent, they're not in a –
yeah, McNeese can't hang with LSU.
But if LSU comes out there like they don't care, like they're not into it,
McNeese can make it a game if that happens.
This is going to mean that the whole season's going to be long if that happens. Even if LSU wins by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because you're missing your opportunity, that window of opportunity to say, let's show the fans that you're going to take care of business. And the key is I want to see the young guys play the second half. And if they don't allow that against McNeese, no offense to McNeese.
Mm-hmm.
But, McNeese just doesn't have the talent of even old McNeese teams.
Yeah, right.
They play hard, and Coach Wilson does a great job. Yeah. And Chris Truax, a friend of mine's on that staff, the line coach. But you're supposed to be up by 35, 40 points on this team. And that's the scenario that LSU fans want to see. They want to see Nussmeier in third, fourth quarter. They want to see all the other receivers, all the other safeties, all the other linemen. And if you don't get them in, Jace, you don't get them in this game like this, and then the following week the same thing, coaches are going to be scared to play other players because they're not going to know what they can do. And then you're going to just be dealing with, okay, we have no depth, we wear out. Even if you're in games, well, we have no depth. Well, it's the same old song then, right? So, why even sign these top 5 classes if they're not all playing? And
so that's a major problem I've seen with 4 or 5-star guys not being available out there.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
I think the true Tiger fans, and I've been around this since the 70s, and there's guys that have been around this way longer than me. They want to see effort, and they want to see everybody play. They want to see what the other guys can do. They want to see what Nussmeier can do. Because, look, let's face it, Nussmeier can help Max. And you can have a 2-quarterback package because Nussmeier runs a 4.5 40.
Even just him playing well is going to push Max. Like, okay, I got to step my game up.
Yeah, and we want to see all these young O-linemen get to play like Marlon Martinez, number 77, who's looked good. You want to see
Garrett Dellinger,
Xavier Hill from Olive Branch, Mississippi. They're all highly recruited.
Cordell Thomas.
You want to see.
Want to see those guys out there.
Dumerville, right?
Yeah, Marcus Dumerville.
We want to see these guys play. They need reps, right? You can't get better if you don't play. And then you want to see Jack Bech maybe play more at tight end.
I would like to see him more in the starting rotation.
Thomas. You want to see Brian Thomas.
I want to see him in the starting rotation. Yep.
We want to see Kiner, you know?
Yep.
Armani Goodwin.
Armani Goodwin, yep.
If he's healthy. And then if Bradford can
play, you don't know what his situation is right now. You don't know what Emory's situation is right now.
Well, Bradford has to get cleared probably.
Yeah.
And then defensive line. I want to see Savion Jones. I want to see Mike Jones at linebacker get reps. I want to see Antone Sampaw and White Josh White.
Josh White.
They signed last year that were
and he was
recruited.
a big recruit, so he's not out there. And I want to see our interior defensive rotation because they didn't really play that great, against UCLA.
Phillip Webb, get him out there. Landon Jackson, man. I mean, I think he might be finally healthy to get reps from Texas.
Yeah.
And in safety, give the freshman Davis some reps at free safety, strong safety from Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sage Ryan, I hope he's
healthy, right?
Because this is his time to go out there and show what he can do. I still think Sage Ryan was going to start from the get-go. He just wasn't able to play the first game.
Right. And we don't know yet what Jay Ward's injuries are right now.
Get our freshman All-American punter in there, too. Not that Atkins had a horrible game, but 40-yard average is not going to win a lot of games in SEC play.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
I'm sure he'll get some looks this week.
But if this doesn't happen, Jace, and they got to play the whole game out to win it,
that's your trouble sign there.
not good.
Yep.
If they have to play 4 quarters to win this game, and you don't see Nussmeier get in the game till like maybe the last series, not good.
Yep.
That's what you want, and that's what coaches would say. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at a certain score. I'm just looking at, okay, if it's 31-0 at half, then you can put Nussmeier in.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be 40-50. It could end up 41-0 total.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But get these guys,
That would actually be encouraging based off the defense. Like the defense puts a shout out, so that's a big step forward. You just got to focus on LSU in-house, which you need to improve on because LSU fans, you know what their opinions are going to be. So that's the main thing is just focus on yourself because all these LSU fans, they're not going to care because they're looking back on the loss to UCLA. So you got to focus on yourself and what you need to do to get better, and you know what the team needs to improve on.
And let me tell you something. People on the internet that are like, I'm not going, and look.
It's one game.
It's go to you're going to support. People don't go just for the game too. It's a religion. They go for the whole day. They go to see people they only see once a year. This is part of their lifestyle. LSU will have a big crowd. Now, will they have 90 to 100,000? I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me if it's 80,000 plus.
Also, it's been 2 years since they can go out and tailgate and go out there and have fun. It's been 2 years,
and I think a lot of people that aren't happy are still going to the game.
Yeah.
They're LSU fans. They're going to support the team. And
McNeese fans are going to travel. They're going to travel to come see LSU play.
Fans aren't giving up on LSU with one loss.
It's a long season. You got 11 more games.
Yeah.
So,
and like we said the last show, if they take care of business and can play a bunch of people against McNeese, and then the Michigan team comes in, that's really like a
Central Michigan, which is actually coached by Jim McElwain, out of all people.
Mr. Shark guy, huh?
Yep.
There's their window, man. It's their window to just work on themselves. Like you said, get to play everybody. Nussmeier can get a bunch of reps. You can get your young O-lineman reps, develop some depth, play
some
your
defensive guys,
play your young running backs.
Right. Get defensive guys some reps, see what they can do. They look good on film.
But don't be scared to take people out the game. I mean, I've seen that in the past with LSU. I've seen where coaches are kind of, stressed about winning, and they just leave people in. They don't get the young guys in, and then they start conference play, and then they won't play a kid because they don't know what they're going to do. They don't get to play.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to go. My score wasn't too wrong. It was wrong with the wrong team.
Opposite way. Yep.
Because I went 35-20 LSU.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was opposite
way. Yep.
But
and I love how LSU and UCLA basically just switched spots because LSU was 16th and now they're unranked, and UCLA was unranked. Now they're 16th. So I love that they just basically just switched.
And I'm gonna make a prediction: Fresno State.
Fresno State beats UCLA.
Could no, I'm not saying they're going to beat them. I'm just saying it could happen. It could be.
Fresno State's a pretty good football team.
They got a good team.
Yeah.
And if they beat UCLA, it ain't going to look good for LSU. Is my point.
Like that's what I'm saying this whole time. If you're an LSU fan, you gotta hope UCLA contends for the Pac-12 championship this year. That's what makes this loss. It will make later down the road. It will make this loss actually look pretty decent.
Yeah, I I tell you, it's hard to do a score on this because if LSU's working on LSU, they're not going to try and score tons of points. So I'm going to say, this might not be popular with people. I'm going to say 35 LSU to 10.
Yeah, it might be. It could be a score like that because I would rather LSU focus on the running game, focus on what they need to do defensively, because down the road LSU's passing game. They got Max is a good quarterback. You got all the weapons at receiver in the world. You're going to throw the football. It's more focusing on your offensive line being tough, bringing back that physicality.
This game should be, like 61 to nothing, but this is not a team, working on all cylinders.
Yeah, you got to focus on what you need to improve on. And then hopefully the game against Central Michigan is the game you can put everything together, and that will be your confidence booster into Mississippi State.
Hopefully.
That's what LSU fans hope.
And I think they'll get close to 90. I don't know if they'll do the 100, but it's the first game. Yeah, it's the first home game. It's like Christmas for a lot of people.
Because I think there's still going to be some kinks worked out the second game. I think the biggest transition is that second game to that third game. Yeah. That third game is going to dictate a lot about you.
I will be at the game.
Okay.
I will go.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it at home.
And it's not televised, which is disappointing. It's not ESPN.
ESPN Plus.
But it's not on SEC Network, which is amazing.
Yeah. Now, I think it was originally scheduled that way even before the LSU loss. So it was going to be on ESPN Plus, even if LSU did win against UCLA. But we got, there's also a lot of Louisiana fans out there, so we got to give some love to some of the other teams that will be playing. I know ULL, they had a disappointing loss. They wanted to go and beat Texas. That would have been the biggest win in their program history. Now they're going to have to play Nicholls State. So,
well, I think we talked about this the other day. Nicholls State was super talented in 20. We're going to give them a break because of the spring season and all that.
The weirdness it was. Yeah,
but they're super loaded this year. We don't know what Nicholls is going to do. They got Lindsey Scott back. They got these 5 pro receivers. They got a ton of talent back. UL can't sleep on Nicholls. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And will they come out like they did against Texas and be high for the game, pumped up? Probably not. So Nicholls is going to give them a game now. How long till that folds? It might look like the Texas UL game, actually, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Because this, Jace, Nicholls can score.
Yeah.
And they've got the studs to score of some D1 schools.
Yeah, remember, they almost, a couple years back, they almost upset Georgia, and they had less talent then when they almost did upset Georgia.
And if they key on Chris Smith, it's not like they got Mitchell this year in Regis. So, I don't know. We'll see. I got UL winning.
Yeah. But
I got Nicholls giving them a scare.
And that's what UL needs to find because, Chris Smith's going to be your main running back. Who's going to be your second guy?
The freshman from De La Salle has got
Montrell Johnson.
Montrell's got the ability. You just got to put it together.
Yep, right. And the receivers, what they got on. So they're a pretty good football team. I think they'll bounce back with that. Southeastern is actually going to play Louisiana Tech, so that's an intriguing game as well.
Well, I would say Southeastern would upset them until I watched the quarterback play for Tech.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Austin Kendall looked pretty good.
Austin Kendall's a big-time quarterback.
Yep.
I think he would start for LSU right now. I really do.
I think both those quarterbacks,
Kelly
and Kendall, could start for LSU.
Southeastern, you did their games last year. You're doing them this year or when they get back to home.
Yeah, when they get back to home.
But you don't know what to expect from Southeastern outside of Cole Kelly really right now. You don't know. I mean, they could go out and lights out, beat Tech. They could. Now, Tech should have beat State. Mississippi State, they were done. I was watching the game, and they got conservative a little early in that game.
Yeah, I think they realized after the pick 6, we got to wake up and play football. Yeah. And that's what happened. They came back and won.
So will Tech be up for this game? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Southeastern fans hope they're not up for the game. I mean, I don't know. I think Tech will win, but I think it'll be close. I really do.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out. Let's see what else we have here. Now, Northwestern State's going to have to play Alcorn State, and Alcorn State's a team in the HBCU that could win a national championship for HBCUs. So Northwestern State, they're coming off a loss against North Texas. Can they bounce back?
Northwestern State, the fans are getting a little restless right now, right? And I'm a fan of Brad Laird. I think he's a great person. I've known him a long time in the profession. He was an assistant at Northwestern. His dad was a legendary coach who passed away a few years ago.
Yep.
Coach Laird, Billy Laird. This is the year they're wanting some wins now, and if he doesn't beat Alcorn State this weekend, I know this for a fact, it's not going to be. I don't know how long this would go on because they expect them to win that game.
This is Northwestern State's a great traditional power.
And Northwestern has a pretty good offense. They just got to get their court. Is it Zachary Clement is going to be the quarterback, which looks like it's leaning that way?
Yeah, or is it still Caleb Fletcher?
Yeah, but they've got some great running backs, and they got a good O-line. You saw it.
Yep, really good O-line.
And their defense is not bad.
Yeah, they got some good line, good front seven.
But they can't, screw up with special teams, close games like they did against Southeastern last year.
Yep, 3 block field goals.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions were happy, but
oh yeah, that was a crazy game to call.
Not Northwestern.
No, and Grambling, they actually won. They won besides Southeastern. Grambling also won too, so a good way to start off the season for them. They're gonna have to play Southern Miss though, so tougher task.
But Southern Miss is not Brett Favre, from the '90s. It's not really. They haven't really been a factor the last 10 years. And they've been through some coaches the last 10 years. Hey, you never know. I mean, you just don't know. This is a game Grambling could make a statement.
So Southern, they could bounce back. They lost pretty bad to Troy last week, but they got Miles College, so you would assume that Southern comes back. And
they better beat Miles.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I mean, look, they're a good program, Miles is.
Yeah.
I think they're D2, right, or D.
Yeah,
something like that.
Right.
But the new coach at Southern, he's got to get those. Look, there's some pressure at Southern, man. They like to win.
Yeah, on paper, they got a good team coming back.
Look, Odom's won a lot of games. Now, he left, but he won a lot of games, and there's a lot of history there with Pete Richardson and prior to that. But by the way, it was good to see Harold Carmichael go in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. It was a long time waiting for Harold Carmichael.
Yeah.
How about this matchup? ULM, the Warhawks. They're going to play primetime Deion Sanders and Jackson State.
Well, I think they'll get viewers just for Terry Bowden and Deion.
Yeah, right.
And I'm really pulling for ULM because I work with them, but the talent's not where Terry wants it yet. So anything they do this year is lanyard.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at building a team for 2022.
Right. Yep.
And I don't know if ULM who they're going to beat. Because Rodriguez's son needs to get better at quarterback.
Yeah, he showed some flashes. I mean, he's athletic.
And they're going to play 75, 80 kids. They still don't know who their starters are going to be. You might see ULM start 18 new starters by week 5 because they lost a lot of guys between the firing and then
a lot of turmoil.
Yeah,
yep.
So Terry came in, and they had mostly walk-ons in spring. And his whole signing class is going to play this year. And, I thought they looked good against Kentucky considering they have hardly no talent. So give them credit. Even I know people won't say that, like, oh, well, Kentucky won by 4 touchdowns, but I thought it'd be like 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, they actually hung in there against Kentucky.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that's all the Louisiana colleges that –
Tulane.
Yep, Tulane. And Tulane – they had the most impressive performance,
even
though it was a loss. They had the most impressive performance out of any Louisiana team this past week. So losing to Oklahoma 40-35, and really should have won the game if you look back at it. Now they're gonna have to. Let's see how they bounced it. Are they motivated to play this next game coming up because they have Morgan State after that big game, the hype against Oklahoma. Is there going to be a little bit of a letdown as far as performance? I mean, they might still win the game, but as far as performance and being up for that game.
I think Tulane's going to work on Tulane, but they come off a win. Where LSU's working on LSU coming off a loss. Tulane's going to be able to work on Tulane. I think Ibieta's going to get to play a lot in this game, second half. Not that he's going to beat out this sophomore sensation.
No, Michael. Right? Yeah, I tell you, Tulane's got a pretty good quarterback.
But Ibieta, who I loved in high school. I thought LSU should have offered him. He's a stud too now. Now, once they see him play against Morgan State, then you got 2 quarterbacks. But I think Tulane's going to be able to play more running backs because they've got 2 really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
They can play a 3rd, 4th back. They can play all their young guys, and that's going to make Tulane a better team. This game will not be even close, but you get to see Ibieta finally throw the ball around.
And guess who Tulane has next week? They have Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to tell you what, I'm not wanting to play Tulane this year if I'm anybody. I wouldn't want to play ULL. The thing about ULL, they can stay in a game with anybody. They just can't throw the ball downfield.
Yeah, I think Texas exposed it,
But
last week.
they've got great receivers. I mean, Kyron Lacey's as good as any receiver in the country.
That touchdown he had in that game was incredible.
And they need to give Montrell more reps at running back to get him ready, because if they can get Montrell going, who's 6'2", like 215, with Chris Smith, then they can get back to where they were with Regas and Mitchell the year before.
Yep.
But, see, they don't have that luxury of having 2 veteran running backs rotating like they did last year, and it didn't really pay off against Texas.
Yeah, I thought that was a question mark. Now, Chris Smith, I knew he was going to be the obvious number 1. It was just losing Mitchell, losing Ray. I knew that was going to play a factor for him.
I think UL wins the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
Over Appalachian State.
You got Coastal Carolina as well.
Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
But UL, the only thing that just hampers them, they just can't get in a shootout. They just don't have that. You know, Levi Lewis is a great manager.
Yeah,
he's smart.
Yeah,
and
he can run the football.
The offense. But he's not a guy to throw the ball 30-yard out passes and 20-yard, 25-yard post pass. That's not his game.
Mm-mm.
And if UL, though, if they get a lead on you and they're up 21 to nothing,
they're hard.
You're done.
Yep.
Because they're going to run the ball behind that big O-line that I think is better than LSU's. And their defensive line and their defense kept them in the Texas game. And their defense has got probably 5 or 6 NFL prospects.
I don't think there's really any weakness in their defense. Like, they're strong in the secondary, they're strong at linebacker, they're strong front 4.
Talon Humphrey, their D tackle's a first-round pick. Probably.
He's 350 pounds and he runs 6'5". He runs like he's 250.
Yeah, came out of Hutchinson Junior College in Kansas, was highly recruited out of high school. They got 3 DBs that are pro prospects. Trahan from Acadiana High has done great for them. Their receiving core has got 5 great players. They just can't get the ball down the field, long plays, big plays.
Right.
They're methodically run the ball, smash mouth.
Yeah, if they score, it's going to be a 10-play, 11-play drive. It's not going to be a 1-play, 2-play, quick slant.
But I think if they can get that second back figured out, and hopefully it's the kid from De La Salle who's should be.
Yeah.
Then they could get it back to what they were doing last year. Now, maybe in the future, if Billy Napier comes back in 222, then he can change his offense with maybe a different quarterback that maybe has a little, maybe get a transfer big-time D1 quarterback.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if he stays after this year.
Well, he's a top 10 list guy.
Yeah.
He might be 10th on everybody's list, but he's one of those 10.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's definitely been a hot name.
What's that old saying, Jace? Is a short list of coaches that are qualified to move up to Power 5.
Especially what jobs are going to be available at the end of the season too. That's going to be a question mark.
Fritz would be in the top 15.
Yeah.
Holtz would probably. I think that a Mississippi State game hurt him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. If they pulled the upset there,
that helped him. But
that would help.
That was not a good showing on how they ended the game coaching in that game.
Yeah.
But he's done a great job at Tech.
He has. He really has. Now, one more thing to wrap it up, Lee. Since the NFL starts tonight. Yeah. So they got the Cowboys and Bucks, but
I'll miss it.
Yep. Right. Because you're going to a
high school game.
But what do you think about the Jameis Winston era and the New Orleans Saints? They got Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and they have to play in Jacksonville.
It's like this. Jameis, just couldn't put it together in Tampa Bay. He had all the talent, right? He was All-American and everything at Florida State, won a national championship with Jimbo. Jameis has showed at times with the Saints that he's good, but can he do a 16-game schedule? Is it 17 or 16?
It's going to be 17 this year.
All right. Can he be the guy for 17 games? I just don't think so. I just don't. I don't know. But Peyton is his coach. He's a genius.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to see Peyton fail ever in a whole year because he's had some of the best seasons with the Saints in the NFL the last 5 years. And the Saints still have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
Let's just split them and say I'm going to stay with my 9-7 prediction.
9. It's a 9-8. No, because there's going to be
9-8.
Yeah, 9-8.
9-8.
Okay.
Or 10-7. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see the Saints. I don't see Jameis Winston being like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, and that's what you have to be in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, let's face it, Carolina's better.
Yep.
Tampa Bay.
It's Tom Brady.
I mean,
right.
They're going to be a juggernaut to even win the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta's got a lot of talent still.
Yeah.
I just don't see the Saints like beating Tampa Bay twice and going to Carolina and beating them, and that's a shoe-in. I don't think any of those are shoe-ins. Atlanta's going to be tough to beat them here in a way, and the league's better. There are more quarterbacks in the league that are better.
Mm-hmm.
We have an explosion of quarterbacks right now in the NFL.
Yeah, it's hard to find around a team that has either a talented quarterback coming from the draft or a veteran quarterback that's a top 3, top 4.
Yeah, I mean, there's
league.
like 15 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, Jace, that are either going to be a Pro Bowler in a year or they're on that verge of becoming one, like Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
He's had his 2 years in,
right.
3 years in. And I don't know. I just don't think the Saints will be that team to win the conference. But if they can somehow get in the playoffs,
I think they can sneak in the playoffs this year. I think they can win 10, 11 games and
you
somehow
think 11?
sneak.
You think 11?
It's going to depend on those first 6 games because after that they can get Thomas back. You don't know what Lattimore's deal is.
There's some drama there. Now Thomas is kind of like there, not there.
Yeah, right.
And tight ends hadn't been strong in a few years.
Yeah, and he's going. I'm not sure if Troutman's going to play or not. So that you got that up in the air.
And who's going to be behind Kamar? It seems like a musical chair is behind him.
It looks like they really like Tony Jones from Notre Dame. That he's going to be the number 2 guy. I mean, he had a good preseason, but it's another animal when you're actually playing a regular season game. And then some of your defensive linemen are out. You went and you got a cornerback, Bradley Roby. So that other cornerback, you don't know how that's going to work out. So it's a lot. There is a lot of question marks with the Saints. But
I think Ian Book, if this season's lost, and let's say I am right on this. Let's say they end up being not even. Let's say they go like 9 and 8, and they don't make the playoffs, and they know they're not going to make the playoffs. Let's say there's 4 games left. Let Ian Book be the guy.
Yep.
Let's audition him right before you think of a quarterback
options
next year. And then the Simeon guy was re-signed.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see. I don't know. I just
have
don't see
a couple of options depending on how this year plays out. If Jameis surprises us and has himself a really good season, you're going to keep him, and you're going to keep him for the future.
Well, if he has a great year, then Peyton's the coach of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say. I mean,
right.
Now, let's face it. If Tom Brady wasn't at Tampa, if Tampa was not champion of the Super Bowls this past year with the greatest team ever, like, Devin White and all the players they got, then I would be saying something differently.
Mm-hmm.
But when you got Tampa Bay in
they're not going to
conference,
win. They're not going to win the division. I guarantee you that.
I mean, that's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And in Carolina, if they pass you and they picked up a quarterback who can play, and actually Terrace Marshall's going to be going against the Saints from LSU.
Yeah, you're right.
And Dante Jackson from LSU.
Right.
I don't know. I just had this feeling that Carolina might pass the Saints, and if that happens, you're not a playoff team.
What does help is they add another playoff spot. So instead of 6 teams, 7 teams get in. So maybe if they can somehow be in second in the NFC South and win 11 games, they can sneak in the 6th or 7th spot.
And you go play in 0 degrees Green Bay.
Yeah, even if they just make the playoffs, that's going to be Sean Payton should be a coach of the year if that happens. They just somehow get in.
I don't know Sean personally, but I wonder what's going on in his mind. Like, okay, if this season's like a rebuild year offensively,
that's why I said a couple options.
Do I want to come back for the rebuild?
Yeah. Do you want to just like tank the rest of the season and try to set yourself and get a quarterback, or do you kind of go middle in the pack? And, Aaron Rodgers right now is not happy in Green Bay.
I keep saying they're going to sign him.
There's a chance you can win the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes next year and get Aaron Rodgers to come to New Orleans. And
you're Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, you're immediately a Super Bowl contender. And those are pretty much your options there. Jameis has a great season. You keep him. If middle of the pack, you try to get Aaron Rodgers, or you just flunk this season and just hopefully set you up in position to draft a quarterback next year.
Well, the one thing I'll say, though, Jace, the Saints are not really a draft team. They're more of a trade the picks, get guys late in the rounds.
Yeah, right.
They like to find those late-round guys.
Those gems, yeah.
And so they don't care about the first, second round, I think, as much. They're kind of like Belichick.
Yeah, right.
Peyton does his draft kind of like Belichick. He doesn't really get so caught up into the first 25 players in the draft and that kind of deal. He's looking at 50 players, 200 players, get the best players available from there. And Belichick, I'm really shocked that he's back in a rebuild. I thought he would retire. I thought Belichick would walk away with, 6 rings?
Yeah, but I think he wants to also improve himself. Like, maybe it wasn't just Tom Brady, and maybe wants to prove himself, saying that was a huge, major part of the reason why we won too. I
wasn't a fan of Mac Jones as far as his pro ability. I was a fan of what he did at Alabama, obviously. McElroy and all those guys, Jacob Coker.
Right.
Had all these great quarterbacks, Tua, Hurts.
Sure.
I was like, there's no way this guy's going to be a starter for New England.
I didn't think so either. But he's surprising.
We'll see what happens. Now, A.J. McCarron I thought would be the first one, but it didn't work out with A.J. McCarron.
Yep.
So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. If Mac Jones doesn't work out, then Belichick might not hang around.
Yeah, I think that's what he's hanging his hat on, seeing if this Mac Jones experiment is going to work. And based off the preseason, it's worked. But like I said, the regular season is a wholly different type ball game.
Would Aaron Rodgers go to New England?
That could be a contender. Yep.
Because Aaron's a competitor, and they would be on the same page, him and Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron's still got 5 great years left, I think.
Yeah, because look at Brady right now. He's 40, 43?
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers still got some years left in the tank, and I can definitely see him going to New Orleans or New England or somebody like that next year. It all depends what Jameis does, obviously.
It's fun to talk about pro, college, high school, Jace, isn't it? I mean, it's just a fun thing to do. I watch a lot of football. I know you've grown up watching a lot of football. I'm just happy to end the show with this. We didn't cover it last show, but I am so thankful to be able to go to games as a fan / media person. I am so thankful to see people in the stands happy, mentally happy to get away, get out of their houses and go support their hobby, and that's watching either their kids play or they're a fan of the university or they're a student. And I think it's so important in this country that our people mentally are okay. And this is what helps, especially in the South, is sports.
Yeah, that college football
it brings people together, too.
Like, you saw it. You saw from Friday when Virginia Tech was entering out with Enter Sandman.
Texas A&M
was packed. You had the Florida State game. The atmosphere was incredible. And then Wisconsin, they did the jump around in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that's great for college football. That's what college football is all about. And to see that around the entire country, it was great to see.
And that's what fans need to do, LSU. I mean, go support LSU because, look, if you're not in the game, they're going to be flat. I mean, they need the fans.
They need the energy, yeah.
And I don't want to say this would have changed last year, but I think it definitely would have helped if there would have been 90,000 fans at LSU last year.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd is a huge, major reason. A crowd can impact the game.
Yeah, I mean, if Mississippi State game last year would have had 95,000 fans, it would have changed the outcome, I think.
Yeah, it does. The crowd plays a huge role in how teams play and how games are played.
Any final thoughts, Jace, before we end the show? I mean, I want to mention this, too. If you ordered a magazine in the past month and a half, we have had some problems because of the Hurricane Ida. In Baton Rouge, the post office for almost 7 days didn't send out any big packages. So we're getting a lot of parents calling us looking for their magazines. You will get them. If you don't, please get back with us. But a lot of people have contacted us, and we had a hurricane hit, where we are located in Baton Rouge. Our post offices wouldn't even let us mail any out to certain areas until they get back and running and their post offices get back and running. So sorry if there's a delay in anything. We'll get it straightened out, but, we're trying to do all we can after a hurricane hitting South Louisiana, and it we got to get power to all the post offices too.
Yeah.
So they can deliver large. These are bigger than regular mail, that goes in the mailbox. So, but we'll get everything. Some of them were having to get back out again because they were not able to go out during the hurricane.
Right.
And you can go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com. We're still doing the South and North issues. But any final thoughts, Jace? Anything?
Nothing that I can think of. And, yeah, we did have that little with the hurricane, obviously, with the magazines going out. It did delay us a little bit, but it's going to eventually come your way sooner rather than later. And I'm just excited to have football back, and I'm excited about the opportunity to call my first game for Episcopal. That should be a fun experience to see and follow the team all season long. And it's good to go back to these high school games because last year, you and me, we couldn't go to any high school games last year.
I went to some.
Oh, well, I didn't. I didn't go to any games last year because of COVID. And
you went to one.
Yeah, I did with you but it was still last year was just kind of a whirl with everything. But anyways, it's really good to have some sort of normalcy back this year and seeing fans in the stands and having a normal type of atmosphere. And I'm looking forward to the season. And if anything of last year taught us anything, don't take anything for granted. And we're not going to take this experience for granted at all.
No, look, having food, water, air, take that away, it's tough. Take away the ability to go anywhere at any time. We're kind of spoiled. Like, you can get in your car, crank your car, truck up, go anywhere.
Take things for granted, yeah.
Right, and so, but we're still, hopefully, I know we had some high school teams that couldn't play because of COVID.
Yep.
And we hope that all these teams get back sooner than later. We say the same thing for all the Houma teams, Thibodaux, New Orleans teams.
Yeah, with the hurricane teams trying to come back.
St. Tammany Parish, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, everywhere. Galliano, Cutoff, Louisiana, the whole Lafourche Parish.
Right.
And then Hammond. Hammond got hit hard where you are going to do your game. Southeastern got hit pretty hard.
My first game wasn't going to be till September 25th. Now it was supposed to be the Northwestern game, and now they moved that to November 13th. So at the very earliest, it would be like early October before I can announce a home game, hoping they get everything cleaned up and power comes back and a lot of that stuff comes around for Southeastern.
And before we go, I want to thank our sponsors, Treads and Care Tire Company, John Harvey Toyota out of Bossier City, Shreveport, Treads and Care Tire Companies out of Baton Rouge in central Louisiana, and also Madine's Collision Center, also in Baton Rouge. We'll see you on Monday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.